Hey, what's up? This is Dee Murthy here. I'm sitting down with Adam at Mogul Insider. Just finished our podcast. Super insightful questions. Got to hear my story, and more importantly, kind of give really cool information for young entrepreneurs out there starting their careers. Check us out.
My man, Dee Murthy, thank you so much for being on the podcast, brother.
Thanks for having me.
I appreciate you for your time. So let's get this started. I want to start off, take me back to the moment this entire empire that you've built begun, and take me through your thought process and what got you started on this journey.
So our business started when my business partner and I were actually students at USC, and we had to write a business plan on a business. And when I was 18 years old, I had started my first business, which was a website, and that actually got really good traction. It was early internet. It was 1998.
Oh, wow.
And so we actually got some good traction, raised a bunch of money. And then by the time I was 21 years old, kind of had a falling out with my partners, walked away from the business, had to write a business plan for school. A friend of mine was super into fashion. We go to New York City for a school trip, and he goes, oh, let's go to this store. I want to buy something. And I had no money, so I had no interest in shopping for clothes. So I'm sitting in the corner of the store, kind of like grumpy, like, why are we here? And then finally I flipped over a label to see the price, and this awesome jacket was $39. And I was like, whoa, what store is this? And it was the first ever H&M in America on Fifth Avenue in New York City. And that's when my eyes opened up and was like, oh my God, you can make fashion accessible. Like anyone can look good. And so we came back to school and we started writing a business plan for a brand called 5-4, which our whole premise was creating an American fast fashion brand.
So what got you so intrigued about the jacket that you saw? Was the price point, or what was it
The
exactly
price.
that got you?
It was really the price. It was like a really cool, fashionable jacket at that price. And I had always grown up seeing those types of things and assuming they were all expensive, that you couldn't look good for a price. Because you have to remember, at this point in America, there was no H&M, there was no Zara, not that many Forever 21s. That concept of like affordable,
Good-looking clothing
wasn't even, it was everything that was good looking was expensive.
I see.
So that's when we were like, wow, if you can make fashion accessible, it's going to get guys excited about shopping.
So why 5-4?
5-4 was just like a dumbass slang term that we had in college to say goodbye to each other. We grew up on hip hop, so we used to say like one love. And then one day this kid in our class was like 5-4, and we were like, what's that? And he goes, 5 minus 4 equals 1. So we got enamored with the phrase 5-4. So when we were writing the business plan, you just have to come up with a name. So we were just like, 5-4, that's funny. And here we are.
It's crazy because I'm asking you because I feel like nowadays a lot of entrepreneurs focus so much on the name of whatever they start.
It's irrelevant.
It's irrelevant. So from your
Completely
experience,
irrelevant.
it doesn't make.
It's the story you tell with the name.
Whatever the brand is, that's what truly matters.
Yeah, the name is like, you can make anything important and relevant. Think about what are some of the most popular names in history.
Yeah.
They're just made up.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
So why fashion, and was this something you've always had when you were younger, or is it just because of that one jacket that made you go?
Yeah, I was more of always opportunity driven. It has nothing to do with fashion. I just love the concept of creating something. And so my partner was into fashion, and I was just enamored with the idea of doing something that could be disruptive, which was like making clothes accessible. And by the way, fashion's really fun. Like, you know, we saw if you are successful in fashion, you live a life that you could only dream of. And so we were like, yeah, let's go for it. Maybe it'll work. So we actually ended up writing the business plan in college and launching the brand while we're still students.
Where were you going at this point?
USC.
USC, okay.
So I went to USC, and we start selling shirts on campus. Our friends buy, support us. We then take the samples and start going to local stores in LA, and they start buying it. So we were like, wow. We got into 3 stores on the first day we tried, and we were like, oh my God, we're on fire.
Really?
Yeah, and so, you know, it was more of just like, oh, you guys are young, we want to support you.
Sure.
Not that we were making good clothes. So we end up throwing a big party. We create a lot of momentum while we're students. We graduate from college, and we were like, let's go for it. Max out our credit cards. We had 2 credit cards each, maxed them out. Back then, you launched a brand by going to a trade show.
Okay.
So you buy a booth, you build a booth, and you hope retailers come and buy your products.
I see.
And so that's how we built our business. So we went out, we did the first trade show, August 2002, and just sat there and tried to figure out how to get people to pay attention to us to buy our clothes. And it was rough. It was the first 4 days we didn't write an order.
So you're talking about days over here. So like,
Yeah.
were you expecting things to happen like that?
I think we were literally expecting we would get a lot more traction right away, because we had heard of other brands getting traction on day one. And so we were like, oh, we're going to show up and we're going to write $200,000 in orders and we're off to the races. We wrote like 8,000 over 4 days, and we probably spent 15,000 to get there. And so we were like, I literally had to call my mom to buy us lunch because we had no money. We were in Las Vegas.
Jeez.
We couldn't pay for even the fees to get our booth back.
Wow. So what was like the main lesson you learned at that point in your life?
This is going to be very hard.
And how did that make you feel?
I think the initial was disappointment, but we were like, you know what? We're in it for the long haul. Let's give it a shot. The one good thing about my partner and I, in our darkest days of being entrepreneurs, we laughed.
I do that a lot.
Like, what can you do? You just start laughing.
Your medicine.
Yeah, so it's like the worst thing. We had the worst experience for a first-time brand, and we just laughed. We laughed driving all the way back in 120 degrees. We laughed our ass off because it was just funny. It was just like, whatever. What can we do about it? Yeah, and we just like, but we had such a good time. We had so much fun those 4 or 5 days in Vegas at the trade show. So we're like, you know what? We'll figure it out. We have to go put in the groundwork. So I pretty much then, he wanted to be the creative, so he focused on learning how to design, make product. And I said, okay, I'll go figure out how to get us into stores. I literally ended up driving around the entire country, going to every single mall, convincing people to buy our product. And eventually it happened. It took 5 years.
Insane. So tell me what was going on through your head and how you were able to execute on that.
That was just like, there was no other choice, because the way retail worked at that point is if you had a relationship with the buyer, they gave you a shot. I had no relationships, so I had to go hang out with people in their stores, at their corporate offices, befriend them, and then 2 years later, they gave me an order. And so it was just, you do business with people who are familiar to you.
Yeah.
And that's how that industry worked. So they had to see your face over and over and over and over again. And then finally one day, like, you know what? You're making some nice stuff. We'll give it a shot. And that's literally how you had to break down the wall. It was just time.
I see. And how long did this process take you? You said 5 years, you said?
Yeah.
Until you saw a takeoff in the brand, or what?
Yeah, I mean, we saw like early traction with different retailers, but like 5 years in is when we got Macy's, Nordstrom's, The Buckle. We got every national chain we wanted. Took about 5-6 years to get. That's
crazy.
when the business really took off.
Very cool. So for everyone that's watching right now, what would you recommend for them if they wanted to start a brand today in today's world?
Today's is a lot different. You're not relying on a retailer. So today you can go set up a Shopify website, and tomorrow you're selling product to anyone who will buy it. The problem is you have to think about many things when launching a brand. Because so young kids will see a brand like Supreme or Young and Reckless or all these brands that do millions of dollars in revenue, and they're like, I want to launch a streetwear brand. That's what most young people want to do. There are so many levels and layers onto why that brand is doing business. So there's product, the uniqueness of product. But normally when someone's young and starting off fresh, you're using the same resources as everybody else. So your product's not going to be that unique. Because if it's just a graphic on a t-shirt, then think about all the choices you have as a customer to buy any graphic you want on a t-shirt.
So what makes Young and Reckless and 5'4", for example, so unique out of everybody else in the market?
So the things I was going to say are product, price, distribution are the three most important things. So in the case of Young and Reckless, the uniqueness was when we launched, Drama had the #1 rated male cable TV show on television. We had a marketing advantage over any other brand. So the day we launched the brand, it was a household name. So we didn't have to sit there and figure out how to market the brand. It was done for us. So I had the experience by the time we had launched Young and Reckless, where I got it into every single store before the first episode of the show. So August 26th or something, or August 9th, I forgot what day we launched. August 10th, it was in every mall in America already, because I had shown the first episode to every retailer, and they were like, wow, this is great.
At this point, though, you have connections. It's like a speed dial kind of thing.
Yeah, and that's why people, when they want to create the next Young and Reckless, you either going to sit there and take years to build out the following and build a brand that people resonate with, or you have to partner with someone that already has the eyeballs, and then you can go a lot faster. And so this was the first time a brand had launched on television like this. Like, it wasn't, even MTV had never seen anything like it. So we were in a very unique position, and we took advantage of it. We were prepared to take advantage of it. It wasn't like, oh my God, we got all these orders, what do we do? We were expecting to get all these orders, and we delivered on them. And so the brand was off to the races right away. In the case of 5'4", we were a traditional wholesale brand. We were doing nothing unique. Our product got better as time went on, but we quickly realized during the recession, when we had a very, very tough time, we weren't unique in any way. You could buy Ralph Lauren, Calvin Klein, J. Crew, Gap. We're all the same. Why was 5'4" unique? Not until 2012 did we actually, 10 years later, did we actually figure out why we were unique. It was a subscription service. It was about distribution. So that allowed us to completely differentiate ourselves, which was take this style quiz. Guys, take 60 seconds, give us all this information, put your credit card in, and you will never have to shop again. And we'll give you the value that you need to make sure that you never have to shop again. So we were giving people like a jacket and a t-shirt 1 month, button down and a jean another month, and it was all for only $60. And the quality was comparable to your Gap, your J. Crew. So people were like, holy shit.
This is amazing.
This is amazing.
Yeah.
And so that business then it just exploded overnight because the world had never seen anything like that. And so for us, the unique differentiating point was distribution, whereas in Young and Reckless, it was marketing.
I see. So you have to have one or the other.
Yeah.
For it to blow up.
If you could do it all, you could be a mega brand.
Yeah, then you're just God mode at that point.
Yeah, but that's what it is. You really have to find the uniqueness. And product is what a lot of people think they have is unique. But you have to look at product from a very objective way. Walk into a mall, walk into a store, and say, oh, I'm going to make the best denim in the world. Okay, look who's making jeans and look at the price they're selling it for. Can you compete with them? If you can't, then that's not your uniqueness. It's not going to be, the product or the quality, because you're not going to beat Levi's, and they sell their jeans for $39. So why are you unique? So it's probably going to end up being marketing or distribution or something like that.
So I'm kind of curious, from your perspective and your professional experience, what differentiates a luxury brand versus a more so trendy, day-to-day kind of brand? Like, what makes Louis Vuitton so, able to charge you $1,000 on a jacket when you can probably get that same, not really the same, but in a sense, like quality-wise, you can find it somewhere else for half the price.
The brand, that's it.
Okay.
There's nothing different. I can show you. We make a shoe that we sell for $99 that every luxury brand sells between $550 and $1,000. Exact same quality. But the reason why people buy our brand is because they want that look at that price. The reason why they buy those other brands is because they want that brand on their feet.
So there's like a niche market for every single thing.
Yeah, if you can build a luxury brand, you have to tell a story. Luxury is about storytelling. Like people connect with luxury brands because of the story they're telling them. And sure, the craftsmanship and product is there, But at the end of the day, it's the story that brand is particularly telling.
Would you say this is for everything, like give or take? I mean, let's say I'm from a retailer perspective, a shopper, a consumer. I like watches, right? So would you say the quality, in a sense, is the same for all around products, or do actually have, like, some brands actually have better quality than others?
Absolutely. When Louis Vuitton charges what they charge, they are making incredible product. Does it really cost that much to make? No, it doesn't cost anywhere near that. But they are making a better product. So across watches, the country of origin of where things are made, cars, everything. It's like, but for some people, they view a watch as something that tells the time, and for some people,
it's a statement.
It's a statement.
Yeah.
So if it's a statement, then you're willing to pay for that brand.
That's very interesting. So explain to me, so you said so far a brand is a story.
Yeah.
What other key components, maybe give me like the top 3 key components that creates a successful brand, other than what we've already described, which is the product, the marketing, and
so the story is obviously the most important. A story that actually connects with people. You may think the story is good, but the people who buy the stuff have to actually connect with it. So I think that's first and foremost. The other thing that makes a brand that people don't realize is time. You have to build trust with the brand. The only way you can build trust, you cannot speed up trust. Trust happens over time. And it takes years for people to have that trust. Louis Vuitton is like 100-plus-year-old brand.
Yeah.
All the brands that people love are like so
old.
Their heritage. They're like, your grandparents used to wear those shoes or whatever. And so that's what it's really about. It's about time and telling an incredible story. That's like the 2 major components in making a really great brand.
Very cool. So now that you're in this industry for a long time, since we were talking about since 2002.
Yeah.
You've done this for a while. In the beginning, it was more about opportunity. Now, why do you do it?
It's just fun. Like being in fashion and then having the success we've had is actually quite fun.
So explain to me your lifestyle. How do you live? What do you do?
I'm married with a child now, so it's changed a little bit. But it was a long party for a very long time.
Oh God.
And because of what we do for a living, we get to be in the places where everyone wants to be. So we're at Coachella, we're at Art Basel, we're at every fashion week around the world. We get to go on shopping trips. It's what work is in our industry.
Your job.
Yeah. And we get to go I'm going to the Super Bowl this weekend. I can go to any concert I want. So it's just like, those are things that, like, our industry, you just have to be at.
Are you rooting for the Rams or Patriots?
Rams, man, LA.
Very cool.
But yeah, that's really what it is. And it's fun. Like, I enjoy being around young, creative people. And fashion's always a young person's game. It's never an old person's game. And so I love being around young. It makes me feel young. Keeps me young, keeps my energy level high. It's an amazing industry, and it's fun to see the evolution of it. And I think fashion is one of those industries that evolves quickly and changes fast.
And will never die.
And it'll never die.
Everybody wants to always...
You always need to wear clothes. It's not gonna...
Unless that changes.
Yeah, I mean, if people just walk around naked in the future because the weather's always nice, then that's different.
Yeah. So for everybody that's watching right now, what's like your top 3 key tips on how an entrepreneur should choose an industry and start working in that industry?
So, I mean, I think a lot of people always say, like, follow your passion. The key thing about that is follow your passion if there's actually an opportunity there. Because sometimes a passion could be a hobby. So, like, I love college football. Should I go be a coach? No. I could just watch it on the weekends and enjoy it. And that's something I'm actually passionate about. I love, like, I get riled up watching football. But that's just a hobby. That's all that is. There's no money to be made there, and that's fine. But if you can find something you're passionate about and there's actually an opportunity that you can make a living doing, then it's a home run. And I think by seeking an opportunity, I think you also need to be very objective about it, because just because blind ambition sometimes will take you down a wrong path. And then you need to look at things objectively. And when you're young and you're starting, sometimes you just be like, there's definitely an opportunity in XYZ, and you're going 100 miles per hour. And
you want to believe it.
You want to believe it, but
Yeah.
it doesn't actually exist. So you may need to, that's why you need to have mentors, people you can talk to, people you can bounce ideas off, so you never have to feel like that. So you can be like, you know what? this is actually a terrible idea. You shouldn't do this. Someone needs to be able to tell you that.
Were you able to have those kind of mentors accessible to you when you first started?
Yeah, so I wouldn't. It's funny. Our first investor, who not a partner anymore, but when I met him, he used to tell me how we had no talent, our product was terrible, everything about us was bad, except the fact that we worked hard.
You worked hard. Okay.
He's like, you guys work so hard and want it so bad, you're willing this brand into success. But none of the things that you think you have, you actually have.
Are good.
And which forced us to evolve.
To pivot.
To actually get good.
Yes.
Like make better product, understand the industry better. And without that, we would have never been here. He was so real with us, and a lot of people can't take that. Like,
oh, definitely. I mean, you kind of have to put your
on.
emotions aside when you're doing this.
And I think the other key characteristic is patience. So even like I said, it takes time to build a brand. It takes time to build a business. It takes time to understand your industry. It takes time to build all the relationships to be successful, build the infrastructure to have a successful business. I'm able to launch brands fast now because I have
the connections.
I have the relationship. I have the infrastructure. We want to make anything, I can go make it. We have an office in China. It's not hard for us. But like, it gets to a point, that took time. It took 10, 15 years.
Yeah, you said it took you 10 years until you figured out how 5'4" is going to be special.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you called it an overnight success, which is funny because, I hear it all the time. People look at that guy. He blew up all of a sudden. It's like,
but it took 10 years.
Yeah. It's 10 years in the making.
Exactly.
That's awesome. So, let's take it back a little moment more on a personal note here. So growing up, were you a part of a family that was supportive at all to kind of get you into this entrepreneurship field? How did this inside of you turn on?
Yeah, my parents were pretty traditional. They're highly educated. My father was an engineer. My mother had a travel agency, and they didn't discourage us in any way. They were like, go pursue whatever you're interested and passionate about. I think like now being a parent, I understand why parents push their kids maybe not to start a business and go get a job.
Please explain. I'd love to hear your perspective.
It's out of fear of your child suffering.
Huh.
So I have a child now. I would never, if my parents ever discouraged me, I'm like, oh, you know what you're talking about. And I'd be like, why are they holding me back? And I understand. They saw me suffer for 10 years. Like I literally struggled, like couldn't pay rent. I couldn't for so many, we had good years, we had bad years. Good years, I was on top of the world. Bad years, I couldn't pay rent. And so as a parent, you're like, man, I don't want to see my child go through that. There's a safer way. Go be a teacher, go be a doctor, go be a lawyer and get your paycheck, save your money and live this great, you can live the life that like my parents did. My parents were very conservative, saved all their money, never had to worry about money because they were always very conservative how they spend and lived within their means. I was reckless. I just went and did whatever the hell I wanted to do, blew money when I had it, and I struggled when I didn't have it. And so as a parent, it's rough to watch your child suffer. Like calling your parents, at 30 years old and say, I'm broke. I owe $10 million. I don't know what to do.
Damn.
Like when you go through that, you're just like, shit.
Yeah.
That's why parents discourage them because they don't want to see their child suffer.
So as a father and as an entrepreneur,
yeah.
I know your child, you said very young still.
Yeah.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah. So what are some tactics, maybe, I don't know if you've thought of this or maybe you haven't just yet, but let's get the ball rolling. I'm kind of curious. What are some tactics you probably use to push them to their limits, but also at the same time keep that safety net for them?
I think it's about exposing them. So I'll give you an example. My parents were, when it came to education, were very keen on us getting exposed to everything. So traveling, museums, just like you need to learn the world because it's a global.
It's a big place.
It's a big place, and don't be stuck in your little bubble. And I think with our son, we are taking that same route. I want him to be exposed to every culture. We're obviously going to travel. He needs to be aware of music and sports and reading and whatever. He can make his choice for what he's actually going to be interested in, but at least show him that the world exists and then go from there. Because I think often when you don't grow up in a big city, you grow up in a smaller town, you are not exposed to things that that later in life actually
We're gonna
hit you, and then you're not prepared to handle those situations, and you may react in the wrong way because you just don't know better. It's like racism is a perfect example of that. I don't think people inherently are racist. They grow up in their little bubble, and then all of a sudden they wake up one day and they're like, I've never seen this type of person before. Why are they here? And maybe they overheard their parents and the way they talked and stuff like that.
And they inherited that.
And they got brainwashed into thinking that that's something wrong. But if you're around that from day one, then you're accepting of all ideas and cultures and stuff like that. So I think that's where what we would do with our son is really just expose him and give him the choice of like, okay,
what do you want to do?
You got to see everything. Now what do you want to do?
You choose. So as a new father too, would you say your work ethic has changed ever since?
Yeah, so it's really interesting. I've never worked harder than I did in the last 12 months, which is crazy. And I've worked hard my entire life. And now it's like I really want to set my family up for the future in a way that allows us to provide the best kind of experience for him as a child. And so that has pushed me to work harder. But at the same time, I'm very mindful of like not being home. Like it to me is that everyone who I know that's older, that has older children, been very successful, or even read a book of Phil Knight or any of these people, the last chapter is, I wish I spent more time with my family.
That's the biggest regret.
Yeah, it's everyone's regret. So then I'm like, okay, I want to obviously provide for the best for my family, but does it actually matter when it's all said and done? Who cares about money? The time is way more valuable than money. So it's a balance. It's like, obviously, we want to give him the best life, but at the same time, it's not at the cost of not being around with him.
I see. So, little curiosity, you said that the last 12 months you've worked your ass off.
Yeah.
So for everybody that's watching right now, I mean, your why is your son.
Yeah.
Currently. So what if for somebody who doesn't have a child, who doesn't have a family, how are they able to fire themselves up and create a why that's bigger than themselves so that they can push hard and create their goals?
The real reason should be to get the most out of life. If you kind of put 150% into your life, let's say it's work, and you end up experiencing success, failure, maybe you'll meet your future spouse, maybe you'll travel the world, you're going to meet all these interesting people, you're going to get exposed to all these interesting things, that's going to make you a better person. And ultimately, that should be why you want to do it. Because it's like, I always, recently talking to a lot of people, and I was like, I can't imagine not going 150% at everything you do, because you only get to live once. Like, how are people sitting at home watching TV?
Yeah.
Like, why would you waste your time doing that?
You have one life.
Yeah, like, and I'm not even saying just about work. Go experience life. Go for a run. Go meet some new friends. Go to a museum. Go travel the world. Like, don't just sit around. Like, such a waste of time. You'll regret it when it's all said and done. You'll be like, I wish I run into friends who are now, who are my age. I'm like, oh, I wish I traveled when I was younger. It doesn't mean you can't travel now. You just gave up on life. And so I think the why should be to want to experience everything.
And you can only do that if you have the resources available for you to allow
Yeah,
you to.
and not even that. It's like, but why should be this why should be for everything in your life. Like, go and do everything. Live your life to the fullest. It's not about money or success or any of those things. It's just about, like, I have friends who don't have a lot of money, but they have a very fulfilled life, right? They've done everything they've ever wanted to do. And that's way more interesting 30 years from now to talk about. Be like, yeah, I lived with the monks in Tibet for 3 months. I'm like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
You have a story to tell. Not, I worked my ass off and went to a bunch of happy hours. That's a waste of time too. Like, you got to have a balance.
I see.
And your why should be to go experience everything.
What's your definition of a work-life balance?
I mean, having a family is much different than
When you're single.
When you're single, work-life balance meant to me having fun and working hard. So as soon as I left work, I was like, I need to have fun, because otherwise life's too stressful. So that was my balance as a single person. as a married and a father, it's about time. It's like, yes, I go to work. Yes, we have to provide for the family, but I have to be home by a certain time so I get to put my son to sleep. And in the morning, that's my morning time with him. I wake up early so I can spend 2 hours with him in the morning. So it's just, that is the balance, and you have to make time for it. It's like you have to schedule your time with your family. It sounds crazy, but you have to do it.
Yeah,
like my wife's like, put down your phone in the mornings. Like, okay. So I put my phone away and I have one-on-one time with my son. So it's things that I saw my father wasn't able to do because he would leave so early for work. He was so fixated on making sure we had the best of life. But I'd rather have him spend time with us.
I see. So since we're running out of time over here, I want to go back into the whole business side.
Okay.
We talked about 5'4".
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me a bit about Young and Reckless. How did that start, and where did the name come from?
So Young and Reckless was a concept that Drama had. He had just finished up a television show called Robin Big on MTV. It's a huge hit. They were thinking about doing a new television show called The Fantasy Factory. His manager had called me, and the first time I met Drama, he was looking for a check for $500 a month to wear 5'4" on Fantasy Factory. And I said no, because I was like, I don't know who you are. And I don't know who Rob Dyrdek is. I don't know who any of you guys are. And because I was at that point 27 years old and I didn't watch MTV, and I did not know anything that was going on in MTV. So I was like, sorry guys, not interested. The show happens, I pass. He comes back a year later and goes, the show's a huge hit. I want to do my own brand. I'm like, I didn't give you $500 for a month to wear mine. I don't know if we're going to do a new brand. I end up finally watching the show, and I was like, holy shit.
This is a big deal.
And it's a commercial. Like, they had created the show so they could promote products. And so we went back. Drama had the name already. He had a name, Young and Reckless. He wanted to bring streetwear to the masses. So he was like, I grew up in Ohio, and he's like, I couldn't get access to all these cool LA brands. I want to take that concept to everyone else. So we were fortunate enough to film the episode of the show where he integrated for the first time on TV. I got that episode 6 months in advance. I took that episode to all the major retailers in America and said, would you buy this brand? It's going to be on this TV show. Every single retailer said yes. Like, I'd never seen anything like it. Like, we were in 4,000 stores day one.
Wow. But it took you 6 months to set up, even with your connections.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a key thing to, like, for everybody that's watching. 10 years in the making.
Yeah.
And even when you had the connections, it wasn't honestly like a one-day job. It took you 6 months.
And then we had to fulfill all those orders. You're talking hundreds of thousands of T-shirts you had to make.
Once it launched?
Literally day one, we shipped like millions of dollars because that show was so big. So we shipped, and boom, like the brand just exploded from day one.
That's crazy. So Young and Reckless, the name Drama already had? Or?
Yeah, he had already trademarked it. He wanted to do it, but he wanted a partner, right? He needed.
And you were the guy that knew the guys that distributed things.
Yeah, and he went and pitched DC Shoes. He went and pitched all these brands, and no one would take him seriously. So we were at a point where we were looking for something new, also. And the timing was perfect.
It worked out.
It worked out great, and we were off to the races.
That's insane. So as an entrepreneur, talk to me about that day when you came into the office and you had hundreds of thousands of orders to ship. What was going through your head?
We laughed because it was like all these years to get that for 5. We were just getting that for 5'4" after like 6-7 years, and we got it in like
a day.
Literally traveled the country in 1 week, and I came back with millions of dollars in orders. And I was like, this is insane. How is this possible?
So, for a starting entrepreneur like me, we're kind of growing right now. We're dealing with a lot of growth spurt issues, and I'm sure a lot of people that are watching may be in the same position.
Yeah.
How do you deal with, I guess, growing out of your circle, taking yourself to the next level without screwing up what you've already built?
So I think part of it is focus. So when you start having success, you start getting opportunities left and right. There's going to be a time and place to capitalize on those opportunities, and there's a time and place to just focus on what you're doing and scale it. And one of the mistakes that we always made was as soon as we'd have a little bit of success, we'd go take on something new. And that would
kind of like
take away
revert you
from
back.
the focus that we should have been focusing on the whole time. So I think focus is really, really important. You really only have to be great at one thing to be successful, like just great at it. And you will see the financial rewards of that. And I think oftentimes we all think of we have to do everything under the sun to be successful. You just have to do one thing really great.
Okay, so focus on one thing, let that grow, let the opportunities come from then.
Yeah, and then when you have the resources and infrastructure, go do 10 different things. But until then, you're not set up to succeed.
Awesome, man. So we're coming to an end right now. I have one final question for you. We kind of, I guess, covered it before, but I like to ask this question from time to time to see, especially someone for you in the fashion industry. How does an entrepreneur find their passion?
I think it's about experiencing as many things as possible. So I think a lot of kids will go to school, if they choose to go to college, and maybe just go through the motions and don't actually pay attention. Or they sit on their phone and just scrolling through Instagram and they're just looking at what other people are doing. And they're not actually doing shit. So you gotta go do shit. You gotta go travel, you gotta go experience, you gotta go meet interesting people. And one of the things when I was younger, I met everybody. By like 21, I had the craziest network because I wanted to go meet people and I wanted to understand.
You just like to network?
Yeah.
There's no reason?
I like to hear what other people are doing. I wouldn't even call it network because networking sounds like I'm selling something.
Yeah.
I had nothing to sell. I had nothing to gain. I just wanted to hear what other people were doing. Even to this day, young entrepreneurs walk into my office and I have no upside in meeting with all the people I do. I do it because I'm curious. I want to know what's going on in the world. I want to know what people are thinking about. It does help me apply it to my business.
Do you think that specific tactic allows you to grow a network faster since you're
Absolutely.
actually caring about them and not wanting to like
I always say
monetize out of
that's
that?
how you actually build a network is be helpful. Don't ask for shit.
Be valuable.
Yeah. That is the most important skill that most people don't understand. Most people would be like, can you help me with this?
Instantly, right?
Instantly.
When they meet you.
I'm like, okay, I can, but that's not the way to go about it. You know, it's more of like, how can I help you?
I see. So I know I said that was my last question, but this got me thinking. Top 3 key tips to provide value for somebody that you just met.
I think if you want to meet somebody, take the time to understand who they are, what they're interested in, their background, know everything about them. It's not hard to find information about people. And the fact that you took the time to understand and know their life, it's very flattering for anybody. And I'll constantly meet with people that want to be in fashion and they'll be like, oh, what's 5'4"? I'm like, you want me to help you and you don't know what the fuck I built? That's insane to me.
Yeah.
I walk into a meeting, I know everything about everyone. I already know your whole life story. I'll ask you like I don't know, but I would have already taken the time to understand who you are. And I think that is a free way to connect with someone, is learn about them, know about them. So you're asking something very specific that only if you know their life that they would answer that question. Maybe where they went to college, you know, everyone's social media is usually public. Like, learn about them. I think that's more valuable than a gift, you know, because you actually care. Sure, a handwritten note goes a long way. A small gesture goes a long way. I just took a picture. In the last 7 days, I probably got sent 35 different things from people to get my attention. They got my attention. They went out of the way to write a note, send me something, and said, can you take a look at this? I'd love your opinion on it. That's like, doesn't cost them much, but, you know, take the effort. It's like, for me, like, if you're interested in meeting me or my community, I have a run club. Come and run. That's it. You'll meet everybody if you come and run with me.
You're pretty public and out there.
Yeah.
When I met you, you seemed really chill. So.
Yeah, exactly. So that's me, and I'm an easygoing person to connect with. But it's someone that's hard. You gotta put effort. You can't just send one DM and be like, yo, yo, yo.
That's good.
Yeah, don't even DM them. You know, find their fucking information.
Find their value. Have a gesture. Give me a third one.
Is this in terms of connecting with somebody?
Yeah, I mean, in a sense of, because I feel like I dealt with it in my first starting years. Now, I guess you can say, out of experience,
Get
I've
an
learned.
intro.
Get an intro from someone, like a reference.
Yeah, like literally someone that already knows them
referral.
better. Like if I know someone that you want to meet, figure out a way that makes me want to introduce you to that person.
Huh. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Very cool. I like that. All right, my man.
Cool.
Anything else to add on? Where can people find you on social media and all that you do?
At Dee Murthy. That's everything. All the social media.
We got to get you famous, huh?
I know, I'm trying.
Got to get you on more platforms. All right, my man. Thank you so much for being on the show, man. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Sweet.